Howdy, howdy, good morning. I'm starting a little late because I was having trouble waking myself up. I kinda want to keep sleeping, but we gotta play more Umineko. I gotta start episode 6 and see how things continue. Doesn't feel like it's been a week, but that's probably because the last time we played was on Sunday. Days pass by too fast. Anyway. Howdy, let me switch here. Whoa. I don't know why that toggle was on. I gotta use it more. I gotta use my toggles more. Crying toggle. Afraid toggle. Angry. All I ever use are like the glasses and the crowns. I gotta get used to like hitting my toggles. Anyway. Go ahead and start episode 6. I was thinking a bit about... Here, let's get a bit of a longer song. How about this one? I was thinking a bit like how all the episodes could relate, but like what Beatrice is and how it all works together. I'm sorry, I'm like waking up as I try to think about these things. So Battler was able to think and figure out what the truth of everything was. Like magic, I suppose, isn't real. All these mysteries were made to be solvable. There's that whole thing with a sin that Battler apparently had like 6 years ago or something. I got nothing this early in the morning. I think I actually do need to reread the first few episodes and go through them again to figure things out. Maybe I kind of don't want to do that on my own time, but maybe I might. I'm getting real curious about things. Anyway, last we left off, freaking Battler became the Golden Sorcerer and is now the Game Master of episode 6 here. Oops. I want to listen to that a bit more, but oh well. Right, yeah. Good morning! It is at last time for the curtain to rise on Battler-sama's game. Let us observe the light from the opposite side of the chessboard. Can Battler succeed in playing the demanding role of Game Master? There is no longer any difficulty level. At this point, these are not hints, but a confession. Confession? I really don't know where things go, but it seems he's Game Master and he's fighting Erica, the detective. See if she can figure out his game. I'm actually very curious to what sort of game Battler might actually make here. Alright, without any more stalling, let's go. It's already been a few minutes. And we still got 2 more after this. Dawn of the Golden Witch. Yeah, let me drink more coffee to wake myself up. There's undoubtedly nothing more than fantasy. Yep, I already own the games. Don't worry. Oh, where are we starting off at? Fake gray smile. So we're back here. A beautiful glow shone in the skylight over the Grand Cathedral. The place was somehow different from the way it had been during the witch's trial. The decorations had changed. It looks a little fancier. Like flowers. Several pleasantly sparkling white ribbons were placed. Several pleasantly sparkling white ribbons were paper thin, but they hung beautifully in the air. Flowers were all arranged. They swapped words. This is a great start. I knew I was probably a little bit too tired for this, but we're gonna keep going. Flowers were arranged all over in a way that would make any place look cheerful. It was like how a single drop of impure water could spoil an entire cask of wine. Just the presence of the flowers, the ribbons, and the red carpet that ran down the center of the room made it hard to believe that this was the same place Ushirumi and Natsui had been falsely accused of a crime. Right, that crime was wild, dude. It had truly become a wedding chapel. Oh, he's gonna marry Beatrice? Who are you now? Ah, and of course we got another one. These words, spoken by two demons who seem to be in charge of this gathering, are part of a ceremony for making an oath of love before the eyes of God. Of course, in this wedding celebrated by demons, there was no priest in sight. Just these two girls, I suppose. Of course, in this wedding celebrated by demons... Alright. Instead, there stood a witch who controls miracles. Oh? You're here? Oop. What, you're marrying yourself? Bridegroom. The bride standing on a carpeted path was Furuko Erika. Furuto Erika. I'm adding a K sound to that. The groom's face couldn't be seen. The bride's outfit was, without a doubt, a pure white wedding dress. The bride's veil represented both the white of God's blessing and the white of the demon's cruelty. Demon's cruelty? A white color? A great many goat nobles, witches, and demons were gathered for this wedding. If only their heads hadn't been those of goats, it would probably have seemed to be a very refined crowd worthy of this great cathedral. All of the goats. Hold on, give me a second to clean my glasses. Like nothing no less if you burn. What screwed up thing are you doing now? Alright. Alright, if it's not you, then... Marrying who? Oops, Mr. Groom. At this point, Birkinsell stared right straight into the groom's eyes. Alright, how many freaking mess-ups, misreads are we at now? Like 5? The groom didn't answer. His eyes were gray, but maybe they were blue if you could see it. His lips would mutter something from time to time, but no one could tell if the words meant anything. All of you. He spoke to the groom in the plural. Of course, there was only one groom. And of course, the gray-eyed groom didn't answer.
聞こえてはいても答えられませんか？安心してバトラさん。
Oh! Marrying Battler?
あなたのすべてを
Don't tell me you lost whatever game you made.
私がにじり尽くしてあげますから。
Your wedding? Howdy, Hashem. What did Battler get himself into? The Witch of Miracle sneered with an evil smile that would make even demons want to avert their gaze. Even that sneer provoked no response from Battler's dim eyes.
人は愛のために生きるのです。すなわち、今日あなた方は生まれてきた意味を、目的を成し遂げた。
生きる力、愛の力のなんと偉大なことか。今日という日の輝きがどうかお二人を永遠に祝福しますように。うるさいわ、悪魔ども。次の次第は何よ。
お二人に永遠の愛の制約を求めます。
その次は指輪の交換を。
On Battler's hand was a ring bearing the seal of the one-winged eagle, proof that he was territory lord of this world. On an Erica's finger was a diamond ring that could not be shattered by any miracle. Diamonds signify an eternal bond. However, in Greek, the word for diamond simply means unbreakable. What, JoJo reference? Erica wasn't vowing to love Battler forever. She was just wanting to make Battler as her property for all eternity. I don't think that's what weddings are for. This wedding was being performed for the sole purpose of humiliating Battler.
あなたを永遠に愛したりなんかしません。
Bro, you can't say that.
だからこの挙式はあなたを征服する儀式です。あなたの心は永遠に脱出不可能の密室に閉じ込められ、この私、探偵にして真実の魔女、あんたの持つ領主の座もその証の指輪も私のものとなる。
ねえ、
Can't get.
何です？
でなれ。ない。
Can't get out. Trapped in his own mind or something? Guys, help. Can't wake up.
出られないですよね、その密室。あんたが自分で作った密室なんですから。
You did this again, Battler?
あんたは永遠にその密室で苦しむんです。私は妻としてあなたのそばに永遠にいて、その苦悶の表情を独り占めします。
Battler, come
あ
on.
なたを永遠に私が怪我し尽くしてあげます。後ろ宮バトラー。
New opening or same one as before? Seems same. Actually, it looks similar to the other opening, but some differences. I don't remember the portrait looking like the one Erica got at the end of episode 5. Certainly a choice to have Battler immediately getting owned after his cool moment. You're telling me, dude. Yo, and like the gold orb in the center of the like blue and red one is so good. Who's that in the background with Battler and Beatrice like right there in that like garden? There's another figure, but it was like way too bright to actually see them properly. Alright. How does Battler get owned? The Witch of Theater going. Come on, you understood everything, Battler. How could you get put in a locked room? Ow, dude. Howdy, darn. All that could be heard was the sound of wind. A sound of misfortune, strong enough to bring sadness and unease to those who heard it. Forgot his key. Ah. Why you gotta have a checklist every time you head out? Slowly, I came back to my senses. I finally regained consciousness on top of a bed with a firm mattress. Where was this again? I couldn't remember where this was, but I could vaguely recall that it was a very bad for me to be here. Like purgatory freaking guest room? The room was dimly lit. There was a light on. That just made the darkness and eeriness of the room more apparent. There were no curtains over the window, but it was too dark outside to see anything beyond it. If I squinted into that pitch blackness, it felt as though I would see a witch of the forest peering back at me through the darkness, and I averted my gaze from the window in fear. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see or hear it, but I got the feeling that if I left this room, it would be bright and warm, and someone would be there for me. Have to get to where everyone else is right now. A bad memory from when I was very young began to well up. I was having trouble staying awake during family gathering, and the next thing I knew, I was laying on a bed in a room I've never seen before. I have the horrible, painful memory of waking up there feeling incredibly lonely and crying my eyes out. Tick-tock. This room, or this room. I'm not supposed to be here. No chains. I just want out. Once I started to think that way, I didn't want to stay in this room for a second longer than I had to. This room scares me. It's creepy. Where is everyone? I want to get out of here right now. More than anything else. I opened a door trying to leave the room. And it just opened into the same room. Oh. A pleasant glow snuck in through the crack of the door. As I thought, the corridor was filled with a comforting light. I couldn't actually hear them, but I could sense that far away people were enjoying themselves. Everyone else must be gathered in a room across from this one. And shut up in this lonely, creepy room, all alone. I should go, quickly. Oh! As soon as I thought this, a merciless metallic sound rang out and the door refused to open any further. Chains like this don't seem that hard to like break out of. I'm pretty sure like I bent chains like this. Like, you know how they have the slits like in each of the links? It feels like you could easily like bend a link enough to like unlink it. The chain had been set. Then unset it, idiot. You're on the inside. I always hated chain locks. You can open a normal lock just by twisting, but chain locks are built in a kind of annoying way where it's difficult to undo the— What do you mean? What kind of chain lock is on this door? What kind of chain lock is hard to undo? Magic— oh yeah, what's magic about them? They look metallic, not magic. I've hated them since I was young. See? Even this chain is causing me trouble. I just can't get it undone. Why is this happening? I just want to leave this creepy room right away. Just on the other side of this thin door, everything is bathed in a warm light. I can't undo it. Just can't undo this chain. What are you, like 4? The more desperate I grew, the more the unsettling darkness of this room seemed to close in on me from behind, and the more frightened I became. Then, I finally noticed. There was something wrong with this chain. Yes, there is a chain, but this isn't a chain lock. This is just a chain staked to the door so that I can't open it any further. Did I read that right? So that it can't open any further. Whatever, it's same meaning. In other words, Samadhi, it isn't made to be opened. What the hell's going on? Who'd do something like this, damn it? No matter what I did, no matter how much I struggled, out the stake, break the mechanism. Weak. This door was just a demon's mouth, made to trick me into thinking it would open before crushing my hopes a moment later. Even so, if only I could just open this door somehow, I could get out into that pleasant corridor. This desire forced me to keep my hand glued to the doorknob. But it was useless. Useless. Both the chain and the stake were firm, and though they clattered about, there was no chance of them letting the door open any further. Even though I could see the pleasant hallway through the crack, I had no chance of opening the door any further. Maybe someone will come if I yell. Maybe the door can be opened easily from the outside. When I thought this, I tried to call out to someone, but it was as though the wind had been knocked out of me. I could mouth the words, "Someone, come here," but no voice left my lips. What's going on? Someone, come. Why can't I cry out? Not a seagull. Help me, help me, help me. Not even being able to say help me out loud scared me more than anything. And if I turned around, the witch gazing into the room from the darkness outside might now be inside the room, standing right behind me. I'm frightened. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. Someone help me, someone help me. I can't get out, I can't get out. Let me out of this room. So I guess this is what's happening in Battler's mind during that whole, like, wedding. What got him into this situation? Help me, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. Let me out, let me out, let me out. Help me, help me, help me. Novelette, alright. Spooky time over? Rikishi randomly remembered he's good at horror writing and just went on. Very unnerving, dude. Oh, Missy. Right, we probably gotta always have Erica in the story now. Since it's the Battler games against her. Sorry for the yawn, I'm still trying to wake up. Had a rough sleep. Oh, that didn't sound like Erica. And that didn't— I guess that wasn't Battler. Oh boy. Amakusa. Are we back to hanging out with Angie and Amakusa? Is this a continuation of what happened in episode 4? I did not read that. Oops. Makusa ran his finger down my cheek. I woke in an instant from the doze I had just been in. I glared at Amakusa for waking me up in such a creepy way, but he just played dumb. It woke you up, didn't it? Where is this? It feels like a parlor in the house of some well-off person. But I have no memory of this place at all. Where is this? And why am I...
お嬢、寝ぼけてるんですかい？
ええ、ごめん。ここ、どこ？
はあ？
Apparently he hadn't expected me to forget something like that just because I wasn't fully awake yet. Oddly enough, I agreed. My mind is parlor that I don't recognize. The sound of the footstep... That? The sound of... I guess I did read that right. The sound of the footsteps of the person or people that Amakusa had mentioned. The sound of the footsteps of the person. It sounds so weird to read that. Makes sense, it just sounds weird to say those words in that order. Amakusa mentioned had come right up to the opposite side of the door. Who was the people? 30 more hours. I don't mind the Angie backstory. I do like what's going on with Angie. Just some sections I wish were a little bit shorter. Still very much invested in what Angie's doing. I'm surprised we're getting more. It felt like things ended well enough, maybe? I don't know. Did she maybe not actually get captured at the end of episode 4? Was that... Like, in her mind, it was she's using magic, but I also had the thought that, like, Amakusa probably helped her out at the end there. Managed to find her in time and just blasted them from afar. Since he seems to be a sniper, if I recall. Need more Amakusa backstory, that's what I'm saying. I could hear the sound of a conversation. They were probably women. Don't be Kasumi? Judging by the coffee and snacks laid out before me, I was a guest here. In that case, I better remember why I came here. So forgetful, or at least who it was I came to visit. Who am I? Ushumi Angie. Who is the man standing behind me? Amakusa Juza. Oh. Angie side. Which side? Can we read about the freaking... Oh! Okay, I'm not clicking that yet. We gotta see it when it actually appears. I see what the thumbnail looks like, but I want to see the full portrait when we get to that. I'm descended from my family 12 years in the future. In the middle of her journey to reach Raknajima while invading pursuers from the Sumadera family, she is sucked up into a world of an impossible memory. Spoilers? She reached several truths in the past games and possessed enough power to represent observers. It is said that many witches are fond of her bad attitude, and many of them even have an eye on becoming her master. So we're not in the real world? Oh man, I want to play Silent Hill F. That's next month, right? Which isn't too far away now. It's already the 22nd. From regarded Eva as an extreme thrill seeker who accepts dangerous stuff for little pay. Serves as Angie's bodyguard before, but after he broke Eva's strict order... Okay, this seems... Okay, that seems exactly the same. The only one different seems to be Angie here. Because of Juza. The man who used to be my guard long ago. He's now the bodyguard Okanogi assigned to me. In that case, after my Aunt Eva died, I must have thrown off my pursuers. I'm like, hell... No. How many... You think... Ryukishi might have hidden like a Umineko reference. Or maybe a reference to some of his other works, like in Silent Hill F, like somewhere, of like Easter eggs. Would he be the kind of person to do something like that? In that case, after Aunt Eva died, I must have thrown off my pursuers, and gone on a journey to find out what happened on that day 12 years ago. Is that what happened? Did I have a memory of this? Whole lot of like lights up above and a weird portrait we have in the back here before the Xbox covered it up. Umineko itself full of references to his other works, and so are his other works. Tokunogi is just a character in all of them for literally no reason? Really? He exists in other things? Gonna toss him in Silent Hill F as well? Or knocked, the door opened, and the person I must have come here to meet entered along with a maid. Maid? Oh, wonderful. Even after seeing her face, I can't remember who she is. She?
お待たせいたしました。八条東也先生でございます。
Okay, I have no idea who you are. That's a relief. I don't know who she is. The maid introduced her to me first. And I finally remembered who she was. She? I was sure it was a he.
失礼ながら先生で
ええ。
Mm. Well, this is a new character to me, but I feel like I've seen this purple hair before. Am I stupid? Maybe it just looks familiar to me because it's the same style as Birkenstell's, but like purple. Like an actual like pure purple instead of like a purplish blue. That might be it.
私が八条東也です。
Oh cool, let me read about you before you tell me about yourself. Oh, off to the side. That's a very fancy looking dress. Reminds me a bit of a Virgilius outfit, maybe? Maybe not. She is literally wearing like nothing under that, is she? Miko Toya.
週刊誌に先生のサイン会の件が載ってましたぜ。サングラスにマスクでがっちりガードした謎の男性作家って触れ込みだったはず。まさか女の先生だったとは。これどういう
That's the gap.
あれは編集部の方に手配していただいた身代わりです。
Chijo Toya. Some sort of book author. What book? It feels vaguely familiar, like I've heard something about this during like some of Angie's segments in episode 4. That was such a long time ago now. I feel like I have heard that name before. Have I?
あのサイン会の時、後ろに待機していた海添が私でした。
こりゃ驚いた。先生の作品は読んだことないが。 多分あんた本人の方がよっぽどミステリーですぜ。
They
読
have.
者など本を読んでいるふりをしているだけ。
Writers only pretended to read.
作者名とブランドだけで本を読み、読んだつもりでいる。
What kind of music we got going on here?
彼らには私の本に何が書いてあっても何も読んでなんかいない。ただ今流行りの作品は欠かさず読んでいるとインテリぶるために読んだふりをしているだけ。
Could it be me? I don't even read.
その程度の者どもにどうして我が身をさらせようか。はあ、汚らわしきかな、汚らわしき。
Sorry, I'm getting a feel for what kind of character you are.
なるほど。確かにあなたが八条先生のようですね。
This person really is eccentric. There's no doubt about it. It's just Hachijo Toya herself. Hachijo Toya is a mystery novelist who became the center of discussion lately. Although her actual books are also apparently highly praised, it is her mysterious debut that attracted so much attention towards her lately. Last year, she somehow managed to win several different awards for exceptional mystery novels offered by multiple large publishing companies, submitting each of her works under a different pen name. And after that, several highly regarded anonymous works were discovered, one after another, who have been stories she had written in the past under false names. She loves writing, and her popularity soared as she herself became more mysterious than her books. Sounds like someone who would love like the whole witch mystery thing going on. Despite all of this, the author herself never appeared in public, and everything about her was wrapped in a veil of secrecy. However, just a few days ago, this author had finally made a public appearance for a book signing, showing up with a mask that covered his face, drawing even more public attention. And yet, apparently that had been a fake. Given this person's radically unconventional track record, it was hardly a surprise to hear her casually insult her fans like this.
後宮エンジェさんのことも
How so?
ワイドショーでも随分いろいろやってましたから私もよく知っていますよ。
Alright, that makes sense.
どうせろくな話じゃないわ。
ええ、ろくでもない話ばかりですよ。気分一つで人を雇ったりクビにしたり、何でもお金で解決しようとする無法者の乱暴者だとか。
違いね
Makusa, please.
でも私はあなたのような頭のいい人は嫌いではない。
だから
He likes us, we're in.
会ってくれたんですか？
ええ、伊藤育九郎0576が私八条東也の別のペンネームだと見破ったのはあなただけ。
Oh, Kukuro? 0576. I wonder if this is a reference to something.
実に見事なるかな。
伊藤育九郎0576。おかしなハンドルネームだったわ。でも数字に直すと110億1996万570。
Oh, I see. Stick puzzle. Thanks for explaining it so I don't have to go about figuring that out. The 11 billion 19,960,576. This massive number is equal to 18 to the power of 8. 18 to the 8th power. In Japanese. Oh yeah, no. Hachijo? Really? That's how you reach Hachijo Toya.
よくできました。
Very fancy way of hiding your name.
そんなあなただから私も直接会ってみたかったのです。ようこそ人の子よ、我が邸宅へ。
Mansion. Child of man. Her manner of speaking was extremely condescending, but perhaps because of her elegant manner, it didn't feel particularly irritating. This person had a sort of majestic grandeur about her that made the style of her speech seem almost natural. At least, that's how it felt to me. In fact, it felt almost as though this was the manifestation of some noble being, who would have no need to show herself before mere humans under normal circumstances. Since I'm not particularly a fan of hers, I guess this is proof that her mysterious charisma really is nothing to be laughed at. However, I didn't come here to talk to Hachijo Toya, the mysterious novelist. I'm interested in Itokokoru 0576, a mysterious web author who only releases her works over the internet. Around the Japanese parts of the internet, I'm just gonna say Kudo, a freaking mouthful I'm gonna trip over every single time. I'm probably not even pronouncing it right. Kudo is a famous witch hunter. Really? However, she isn't a big opinion leader like Professor Ukutsuki. Utsuki. She is one of those message bottle foragers who are always at the center of vigorous debate. Message bottle foragers? Message bottle foragers are, as the name suggests, people who forge and post the contents of riddle-filled message bottles which report to tell the story of the Rokkanjima incident. Claiming to have discovered a new message bottle, they post either a very similar counterfeit or a new theory with their own interpretation of the truth, claiming that it was written by Ushiromiya Maria. She loves the witch mystery. She loves Umineko. They openly call themselves Ushiromiya Maria. Write up a bizarre tale as if they've been there themselves and knew the truth, and send their stories out into the newest sea that mankind has discovered, the internet, calling them the third or fourth message bottles. All of the first forgers were either simple pranksters or crooks trying to swindle collectors. However, eventually people who have claimed to have solved the riddles of the message bottles' tales and reached the truth started to appear. And they started work creating third and fourth message bottles from Ushiromiya Maria as though they had moved over to the riddle teller's side. These people rewrote the tale of the witch with whatever interpretation they wanted, and every once in a while, certain theories would gather an enormous amount of support on the web. What is this magic they call the internet? Like a spider web. Witches can't be there, it hurts them. These people rewrote the tale. Because of this, some of these creations began to be so widely trusted that they were believed to contain some grain of truth. The more rigid witch hunters openly despised the people, calling them forgers, counterfeiters, or just witches. Though they claimed to have reached the truth, they refused to tell it, and created fake message bottles as though testing everyone else. It's no surprise that the serious witch hunters were very annoyed by these forgers. However, there were many people who simply liked to entertain themselves with the occult fantasy of Rokkanjima, and a small number of those accepted these creations as literary works. Glad of this expansion to the mysterious tale. Of all the forgers, Kuro was the one most highly regarded.
End of the Golden Witch.
You wrote that?
読ませてもらいました。
Ah. Alright, this is making me think before I continue. So now we have people forging things, claiming to have known the truth. He wrote End of the Golden Witch. Or maybe we can assume episode 1 is closer to the original like tale of the incident, since it's the one where Maria sends out that message bottle, apparently. There's at least another message bottle with the same handwriting. Maybe 1 and 4 are closely regarded to, are more closely like the originals, and then episode 2 and 3, and I guess 5 now, are works of forgers. If this is something that Toya wrote, End of the Golden Witch, would that make her connected to Lambda Delta then? Because the Lambda was the game master of that story. Oh. Okay, so I think my earlier thoughts, which I guess should have been most obvious thing, is that each episode rather, it's not the full truth but contains some of it. How do we piece together what the actual truth of everything is? Although, thinking again, that doesn't feel like the main objective. I don't think, even if we could, knowing the true order of events that happened on Rippenjima is what matters. Something else I'm not getting. End of the Golden Witch.
人の親族をよくも好き放題に殺せるものです。
それが言いたいためだけにわざわざここへ？いいえ、違うでしょう。後宮家の最後の末裔よ。
In her last forgery, End, she killed off the last 7 of my relatives during the story. No, if you count Alliance and Banquet. Banquet? The other forgeries she's made before. Really? Alliance is going to win with Banquet. You've written them. Yeah, I remembered at least that much. Not which one was belonged to which episode, but I knew that it couldn't be episode 2, 1, or 5, obviously. Alright, so I was right. Oh, no, because I was thinking episode 4 was the second message bottle. Is it really just episode 1 and 2 that are the first 2 message bottles, then? I was thinking 4 because, it's the one where you finally see, what happens 12 years in the future. Which seems to be a continuation of episode 4. Now, if you count Alliance and Banquet, the other forgery she's made before now, she's killed off most of my family in horrible ways over and over again. Of course I'd want to complain. However, all of her works are known for being in both form and level of completion, the closest tales to those written by Ushuramiya Maria herself. What does Angie think about Toya writing her backstory for her? Uh, are we do? That one's actually tricky. When we think of the stories written down, it probably doesn't include like all of the like purgatory witch stuff, right? Maybe the stories are purely just the Rakanjima events. In which case, all she would have written for episode 4 is like just everything that happened on the island minus like anything to do with Angie, right? Coming to the island, murders. Eva's the one left behind. Or Eva's the one that survives. Imagine if she wrote down like how episode 1 is written. She might have done it exactly that way. I feel like that might have been exactly how she wrote all 3 of them. Similar to episode 1. No, like, scenes between Battler and Beatrice and all that. Just, from some characters' point of view, how things start to go wrong and trying to get through it, only to die at the end and whatnot. I'd be interested in reading, like, retellings of Umineko through just purely, like, the events on, like, Rankajima. Make it more like a... Do you call it more of like a traditional, like, mystery type thing? No magic involved or anything, just a, like, pretty normal story with a mystery for the reader to solve. Would be interesting. And I'm getting sidetracked again. It's been an hour. We got through, how much? Probably about, like, 20 minutes worth of text. Want to mean after me? That's basically already is a book, just with pictures. Picture book. I really want Umineko to be animated in a way that's good, because apparently the one we got now is not good. Particular Kudo's first forgery, Banquet. Banquet? Why is that word so hard to read? Of the Golden Witch. Was a depiction so complete that it even included Ushuramiya Eva's escape to Kuwadorian. People wondered whether this might be the true story Rakunjima, and it even made it into the talk shows. So far, all of these tales have been nothing more than electronic text on the web. Electronic text on my computer. However, people will eventually realize that Kuro is actually Hachijo Toya. When that happens, these tales will become associated with that bizarre Hachijo, and no one will think of them as mere fan creations. People will probably start wondering if this might actually be a third message bottle she found and released under the guise of a story she wrote herself. When that happens, these stories will probably seem even more bizarre and credible. That girl looks great in anime. She's in the anime. I'm not watching it then. We don't need to see that.
どうして？
そうしてあなたは自分の義書に神秘性と信憑性を与える。
信憑性とは？
それを得て、あなたの義書は真実に昇華される。
It stops at episode 4. Damn. No Erica. Wait a minute. Then where did you get those gifts of like Erica before? I've seen you post Erica gifts at me. They're animated. Pachinko game. Why is there a Umineko Pachinko? There's Pachinko games of everything. Why am I? Never mind. That checks out. Sure. Sure. To gain credibility or forgeries or rise to the level of truth.
消化愚かしい。そんなもの私の作品には必要ありません。
The sprites his Steam release uses are from it too, or something. Wow, that's... First I've heard of people reusing their pachinko assets for, like, actual games. If only freaking Konami would do the same and freaking give us cool Metal Gear stuff. No, it's all the cool, like, Metal Gear models and animation are for pachinko only. I guess we did eventually get Snake Eater. We're getting Snake Eater, right? That's the third game, right? I'm not mixing up the names so early in the morning? I'm gonna assume I'm correct, because I'm never wrong. Obviously. Animations aren't too bad. We should do... Yeah, I don't think I'm a fan of some of the PS3 sprites. I've seen them. Or not the PS3 sprites, the Steam sprites. PS3 sprites are great.
なぜなら、あなたの作品は偽書ではなく真実だから。
Your works are the truth, huh?
真実なのですから、消化など不要。あなたはマリアお姉ちゃんじゃない。
OG sprites are funny and full of character. They are pretty funny. I like the George sprite the most, but that's because I haven't seen most of the others. I've only looked at them during like the start of like episode 1 and 2, I think. Didn't look at them much after that. Have soul. You aren't Maria.
ましてや、あの日の六軒島にも存在しない。
What if she was?
なのに、どうして真実などとおこがましいことを。
あじゃあ、頭に血が上りすぎですぜ。
うるさいわね。私のどこがそうだってのよ。
And you realized that she let her emotions get control over her. She let out a sigh and
あ
shrugged.
なたがここへ来た理由は、親族を義書の中で何度も殺めた私をなじるためではないでしょ。
He loves murdering Angie's family. Jijo had been smelling at Angie kindly, but in a condescending manner, or else, like a mother might watch over a very small child. Angie realized this and was unable to suppress her irritation. Apparently, Amakusa could tell that Angie was getting worked up. He joked around with her for a bit so that she could start the conversation over again from the beginning. Oh, nice. Good dude.
あなたが私に聞きたいのは、私の至った真実でしょう。どうして真実に至ったと確信を？すべての物語を理解したからです。
She's Battler! It makes sense.
だから、どうしてそうだと確信を？太陽が地球の周りを回っていたことはあると思いますか？
Jijo suddenly started talking about the geocentric model. And she was about to tell her not to answer questions with more questions, but she quickly realized what Hachijo meant.
かつて人間は天動説を支持していた。
しかし近代それは否定されることとなる。なら否定された瞬間に太陽は動きを止め、地球がその周りを回り始めたというのだろうか。
そんなわけもない。人間が何を信じようと真実は変わらない。
ならば今あなたが私の真実を否定するのは、つまりはそういうこと。
Several scholars before Galileo proposed the heliocentric model. However, it was hard to objectively prove it using the scientific techniques available at the time. However, that didn't change the fact that it was the truth. And yet, it moves.
真実はその立証のいかに関わらず真実だと。
そうです。これより未来、やがて全ての真実が明らかになった時、私がすでに真実に至っていたと遡って人々は気がつくでしょう。
Apparently, Angie just couldn't stand Hachijo's attitude. She kept getting irritated, and every time Amakusa would joke around until she settled down again. Romakusa? However, there could be no mistake that Hachijo was a genius, and had used her extraordinary intuition to form a most interesting perspective on the events that had occurred on the island. That was why Angie had wanted to contact Kuro and hear about her viewpoint. Still, she really was lucky to have been granted this meeting. Angie hadn't been absolutely sure that Kuro was Hachijo Toya. She hadn't thought that the publishing company would really contact the author. And most of all, she hadn't dreamed that the mysterious masked author would grant her an interview under such short notice. A string of miracles. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that some of the events leading to this meeting made for nothing short of a miracle. Yes, a miracle. After all, in most cases, I don't get contacted by the publishing company at all and leave for Nijima the next day. In most cases... What do you mean by this? Questioning herself. Wait a minute, in most cases. I think that kind of solidifies that we're not in the real world right now. Just like Angie. Or maybe we are, but she's like... Maybe it's a situation similar to Shannon and Canon, where they kind of remember past things. Other fragments, I guess you can call it. And that seems to be what they are supposed to be in this series. He's so good at protecting what his readers think. You're telling me I'm freaking... Whenever I watch Joe play through this, he's basically exactly Battler. I wish I could be more like Battler, but maybe I'm just stupid. I left for Majima, then I went on to Rockinjima. Then I gave Oni-chan Sakataro. Okay, so this is a fragment where she's actually able to meet Toya before she heads to Rockinjima. So a few days before this event, maybe? Maybe no more than a week? Huh? Why do I remember the future? Why would I have Sakataro? My memory of the future is all muddled. My head hurts. Ichiro said something about showing Angie something good. Rose from the sofa and headed for the study desk. When she turned her back, Amakusa asked Angie, who seemed to be troubled about something, if she was okay.
ねえ、天草。私って、いつからここにいるの？
はあ、さっきから様子がおかしいですぜ。何事ですかい？
私、いつからここに座ってるのか、記憶がないの。
まだ寝ぼけてんですかい？
そうじゃなくて。だって、私は確か、大月教授とはアポイントが取れてたけど、伊藤育九郎の件では、出版社から返事がなくて。
Itoi Kukuro. Okay, Itoi Kukuro.
結局、
I got it.
この日は一日、何もできなかったんじゃなかったっけ？
は
天草は、大きな黒いバッグを受け取りに行ったんじゃなかったっけ？
That's right. Just before we left for Majima, Makusa and I briefly parted ways. He said something about getting a weapon from an acquaintance of his, and he went to go get that large black bag. Wasn't that today? What am I talking about? I mean, I didn't go to Najima, meet Captain Kawabata. Oh, so it's before she went to see the captain and saw, like, the bag of Sakataros. Okay, okay. And then going to Rakujima would have been, like, the very next day after that. So only a couple days then, huh? She's losing it. I mean, I didn't go to Najima, meet Captain Kawabata, and inside the bed shop... Huh? What?
どうしました？
Did my confusion and uncertainty make me sigh out loud? Even though Hachisho's back was to me, she slowly turned around and smiled as though she had peered into my heart.
いいえ、何も。
Strange memories. Ones that I can't... Ones that even I can't understand. I tried to hide my confusion, but for some reason, Hachijo had a strange glint in her eyes, as though she could read my mind.
私は何冊もの記書の中で何度もあなたのご親族を蘇らせては殺す。まるで
Various.
魔女のように。
How many?
好きなだけ蘇らせて、好きなだけ殺す。
Reviving and killing them. Endless Witch. Power to revive and kill as much as she wants. She can do that. It's... Within various forgeries. You could say that, like, Beatrice is, like, an author herself, yeah? Because she... At least... what does it mean? Hold on. Because Beatrice was the game master of all of them up until episode 5 when it was Lambda Delta. But it seems clear that, at least in this scene, that Beatrice didn't write all of them. Most of them? Would it make more sense if Beatrice wasn't an author, but the concept of an author? Where does that lead? Is she only an endless witch because she can rewrite the story as many times as she wants? Effectively bringing all the characters back to life and then killing them again in her story. Does that fit in with the last riddle Beatrice gave? Battler is alone on the island. No one else is left alive. She's about to kill him. What is she? Would that make sense to be the author of the story? Would finishing the story and then just stopping it there be the same as, like, killing? I don't know if that makes full amount of sense. Even if we do go with something like that, how does that fit into whatever Beatrice is trying to tell Battler? She admitted to murder, lock her up? Oh, damn. That doesn't really bring me closer to anything. I feel like the pieces fit, but I'm, like, shoving them in, like, in the wrong orientation. I fucking got, like, puzzle pieces upside down and trying to fit them together like that, dude. Yes. Correct, but not thinking about it correctly. I don't know if that makes sense. Almost as if a witch might, reviving and killing them whenever you
無
like.
限に
Endless.
まるでベアトリーチェね。
Loves Beatrice.
ええ。だから私はやはりネット上で彼らがそう呼ぶように魔女なのかと思って。
Not you. I like swirls. Kind of like the, like, almost a lab coat looking thing she has going on. Guess whatever dress she's wearing underneath also has long sleeves, open out a little bit. Interesting. Don't mind me for a sec. I just want to look at some other details real quick. This is executing, actually. Freaking change how she looks. Okay, not quite the same. She has, like, the long side bits. Okay. Maybe I'm just overthinking things, but the way she's like, she looks, especially this dress bit that she has. It, stop showing me in the witch's side. The way it's decently thin and the like frills that seem to spiral. It's reminding me of something that I feel like I've seen another character wear, but I just don't know what. But I think I'm just overthinking things too much. I don't think. Well, I don't know. Maybe characters would have some like clothing elements related to others. Anyway, it sounds almost like the Golden Witch Beatrice.
だから私はやはりネット上で彼らがそう呼ぶように魔女なのかと思って。
He took a thickly packed brown envelope out of a locked drawer. It appeared to be filled bursting with pages of printed out text. Perhaps this was a manuscript for one of her works. And the neat letters written with a fountain pen on the envelope spelled out the word Dawn. There's no forgery by the name of Dawn, which must mean. And you could tell, this was a new one. It's Joe's newest unreleased forgery. But Battler wrote this one.
すべてを知る私にはすべてが退屈。しかし何も知らぬ無知にそれを読ませ、何がしかの反応を得ることは嫌いではない。だからあなたに読んでほしい。
新しい無限の魔女としての新作を。
そうです、人の子よ。あなたが憤慨しようとも感嘆しようとも、それは私の病を一時忘れさせる。
Their illness, huh? What, boredom? You a Voyager?
もう茶番は終わりにしましょう。あんたは誰？私の記憶にこんな出会いはないわ。
Yes, I did try to contact Hachiro Toya. However, in the end, I never got a chance to meet her. In other words, Samadhi, all of this is a falsehood.
今度は私は誰の駒？悪いけど、この後ろ宮エンジェ、飼いならせると思ったら大間違いよ。
やはりそなたは面白いかな。
He finally couldn't hold it back and burst out laughing. Gradually, the space around them seemed to fill with a strange purple mist. The room itself seemed to twist and bend. Her figure also twisted. And, after transforming through something that couldn't be described, she took the form of just what she had called herself. A witch. Alright, not what I was expecting. Are those horns? Also a nice badge.
よくぞ私を見破った。
私ってつくづく魔女に好かれる性分ね。
So
あんた
popular.
たちに特徴的などこか人を舐めた口調。すぐに魔女だって分かったわ。
The novelist sitting on the sofa was nowhere to be seen. Even Angie's bodyguard, who was supposed to be around her at times like this, was gone. There was only a non-human figure relaxing in a large, ornate rocking chair. Old
面白きかな、人の。
rocking chair. Misawa?
愉快なり、それでこそ我が退屈にふさわしい。
こっちは全然愉快じゃないわ。 どうして私は生きてるの？
Oh, you're probably not.
私は名前を明かしたルール違反でひどい殺され方をしたと思ってたけど。
Well, I did doubt that those people would just let me go so easily. What kind of farce would it be forced to go along with this time? I really don't care. I'll just do whatever I can within the bounds of the role they gave me, or forgive me, whatever I can to help Oni-chan. Of course, I understand. Even if he wins, he'll never come back to me.
でもね、あがくわよ。あの日の私のところへお兄ちゃんを返すためにね。
そう生きり立たずともよい。私がそなたに求める役割は駒ではない。
じゃあ何の用で呼び出したの？まさかあんたの書いたとかいう新しい物語を読めとでも言う気じゃないでしょうね。
What if she said it was written by Battler himself?
その通りだ。そなたに望むのは駒ではない。もとより私は傍観者。あやつらのゲームにちょっかいを出すなど毛頭もなし。
Which of observing?
意味わかんないわ。あんたは私に何を期待してるの？
私のためにベアトリーチェの紡ぐかけらの観測者であれ。
観測者？よくわかんないけどお断りよ。
かつて私はバトラを通してかけらを鑑賞していた。しかし彼がゲームマスターを継承した今、観測者としてふさわしくないのだ。私は心より純粋な気持ちで物語を追っている。その私にとって今のバトラを通して観測することはさながら推理小説を逆さに読むにも等しい興ざめ。
お兄ちゃんがゲームマスター？何の話をしてるのかさっぱりだわ。
さっぱりだろう。知りたいであろう。私も知りたい。バトラがゲームマスターを継承し紡ぐ物語がどのようなものか、そしてバトラが至ったという真実がどのようなものか、私の自らの思考の旅で追いたいのだ。私は病の深きに考えねば鼓動を続けることさえかなわぬ。
Sounds rough.
つまり
つまり
あんたは新しい絵本を私に朗読してもらいたいってわけ？
そういう解釈でよい。見返りにそなたもまた自由に思考を旅することができる。そなたとて未だ真相には至っていないはず。続けたいはずだ。真相を知る旅を。
あんたに得をさせる義理がないわ。
生きがるな。私は時に寛大だが多くの場合そうではない。
Oh, threatening. And she hadn't yet reached the truth either. Though she knew that the game was little more than a toy for the witches to play with. She wanted it to resume so that she could follow the tale and close in on the king called Truth.
私は私が真実に至るために物語を追うかもしれないけれど、あんたのために最後まで朗読する義理はないわ。意味はわかる？
Angie was willing to read the story aloud, but she could quit any time if this witch made her mad. He was, in effect, warning the witch not to annoy her.
無論だ。絵本と称したが私にとっては死に至る病への唯一の薬。そなたの買い添えなくして飲むこともできぬもの、すなわち総理強制だ。
あんたが寝入るまで私に本を朗読しろと。その代わり私にも読むことを許す。そういうことね。
Like a child.
そうだ。引き受けてくれるならばしばしの一時私の朗読者に任ずる。
Reader, capitalized.
偉そうな役職名だけど、所詮はただの本読みでしょ。
私の朗読者であるということは私の使いであるということ、すなわち そなたへの干渉は私への干渉。私はベアトリーチェの物語の続きを読みたいという唯一の興味を何者にも邪魔されることを許さぬ。そなたをもてあそんだベルンカステルもラムダデルタも、無論ベアトリーチェさえもそなたに対して一切の強制力を持つことは許さない。
You can bestow that kind of protection? This witch, who seemed to have an almost divine quality to her, spoke both quietly and forcefully. There was no threat in her words. However, even so, it was clear that she was on a different level than Birkenstow and the other witches, and not at all to be taken lightly. There's always a stronger witch to be added to the story.
無論だ、私は朗読を望んでいる。それを邪魔する者は何人であれ許しはしない。私の態度が横柄に感じるならば謝ろう、人の子よ。私はこれでもそなたに最大の敬意を持って語りかけている。
みたいね。その魔女らしい口調さえ、どうやらあんたの中では数百年ぶりに見せた敬意って感じがするわ。
そなたは本を読むとき、本によろしくお願いしますと語りかけてから表紙をめくるか？
そういうことよね。理解したわ。
Despite agreeing to have a conversation with Angie, she was showing an incredible amount of respect and willingness to compromise. Oh, it's my freaking eyes playing tricks on me. I thought I saw weird white flashes. Maybe my computer's died. Angie shrugged, but she also nodded to show her consent.
いいわ。あんたの朗読者を引き受ける。あんたが私に同意を求めた時点で最大の敬意を表したことを理解したわ。
良き理解だ、人の子よ。
私の名はエンジェよ。人の子だかタケノコだか呼ぶのはやめて。
良いだろう。私が敬意を示すことの証にそなたの名を認めよう。
For her, acknowledging a human's name was like acknowledging the names of all the leaves scattered across the ground. So, her acknowledging Angie's name was a miracle. So many. No, it was immensely good
これ
fortune.
よりそなた、後ろ宮エンジェを感激の魔女フェザリーノ・アウグストゥス・アウローラの巫女にして朗読者に任ずる。
Which of theater going? Featherine Augustus Aurora. I feel like I heard the name Aurora somewhere before. Also, Miko, like a shine priestess, I think. That's not where I read that. Yeah, Shrine Maiden. Close enough. Traditionally dressed in white and red, Miko acts as assistants to Shinto shrines. In addition to helping out with the day-to-day running of the shrine, including cleaning the premises and selling charms and fortunes, Miko also performs ceremonial dances and assists priests in Shinto rituals and performances. Doesn't make some sort of sense with the way she looks. Just like a cane? Reverend Augustus Aurora, at this time of 1998, at this time of the Answer arc, and in this part of the story, localized entirely within my Umineko? Yes. Majestic witch of theater going, drama, and spectating. She just loves watching. Yeah, she has tired of her life after 1,000 years. It's always 1,000, and constantly repeats a cycle of life and death. In the past, she served as the master for numerous games as the legendary witch. As a legendary witch, but in her legend, glory, and memory have already disappeared in the past and been forgotten. Only the solemn medal she wears on her chest retains those memories. The horseshoe-shaped object floating around her head. Oh, so not horns. That's like a floating thing. The horseshoe-shaped object floating around her head is a memory aid device. It records her name, appearance, and other aspects of her personality. She is so old that she would not be able to preserve her own individuality without this. Served at the Master for numerous games as a legendary witch. Horse! Oh, we're playing. I'm not playing. You're playing horse game tomorrow. Gotta remember that. Horse tomorrow. Loves horses. Horses in my Umineko? Yes. More likely than you think.
そなたが朗読を終えるまで、そなたの朗読を妨げようとするすべての者に災いを与えよう。
Can I see it? When the Witch of Theater Going, Featherine, spoke this, Angie was wrapped in a bright light. Ah, my eyes! Angie didn't feel any particular change herself, but she definitely had been given something that only non-humans could sense. It signified that from this point forward, Angie would be attached to the Witch of Theater Going. That didn't mean that Angie would gain some sort of special power. But at the very least, it probably meant that anyone wanting to cause her harm would first have to take on Featherin herself. Horses would never be relevant to Umineko? What do you mean? They could be relevant. You can boat over a horse to Rakenjima, right?
ローマの偉人みたい。何と呼べば？
親しくない者はアウグストゥス・アウローラと呼ぶ。
Augustus Gloop? An incomplete?
私に敬意を示してくれたあんたに、私も敬意を示して。フェザリーヌと呼ぶわ。問題は？
ない。病んだこの身には名を呼ばれることさえ噛み締めがいのある優越だ。人の子よ。
You said you would start calling her Angie.
エンジェよ、私の名前。
Don't forget already. What's all this freaking headgear for if it's not gonna help you remember?
そういうやりとりさえも心地よきかな。エンジェ、我が巫女よ。
Angie accepted her role. He would observe this tale with the Witch of Theater Going. The curtain was rising on the sixth tale. Alright, singing break. I wonder if I should take my break now or continue going a little bit more. Ooh, fancy. We're still like 20 minutes from my usual break time, but this is probably gonna go on longer than that. Probably a bit longer this chapter. So give me just a bit. Get up, stretch my legs and whatnot. And we'll continue a bit more at... I want to go for like the usual 4 hours, but man, I'm honestly feeling quite a bit rough. Not quite as rough as I was at the start of the stream, but still a decent bit. We'll see how things go throughout this next chapter. If this does end up being a pretty short stream, we might go for either longer, like around 6 hours tomorrow, or I might even do another triple stream. Maybe. We'll see how things go. Anyway, BRB, be back in like 5 minutes. Dancing pumpkins work really well with Erica's theme. You think so? Why would they? Aren't pumpkins Lambda Delta's thing? Spoilers? Thinking too much? Well, I gotta think of like new BRB shenanigans and whatnot. Actually, I want to mess with like a new background for like both the BRB and then like my main like screen here where it has like the Kingdom Hearts stuff scrolling by. I think what I want to do is make a new scrolling background where instead of just Kingdom Hearts stuff, it has like icons related to all the games that I played on stream. Like we could have like the one-winged eagle in one of the boxes. We can keep like the little Mickey Mouse icon for like Kingdom Hearts. We can have maybe a little light bulb from Amori in there. Get the entire epitaph. We could also just if I want to stop being lazy, I can make like edits for like the different games that I play. Like I think I had one. Actually, no. I think I deleted that. Like for Resident Clank, I did like a whole custom background for that game whenever I played through, what was it, Rift Apart for the first time? That's... Resident Clank is special because I love Resident Clank. Absolute top favorite game series. I was excited to play that, and I'm excited to maybe play more Resident Clank if they ever get to it, like 2028. I forgot when they said they were gonna do a new game. If they're even following that like leaked timeline anymore. Who knows? In any case, I'm talking to Stalin, just relaxing while my coffee cools down a bit more. I got more coffee. I might have some mild form of like lactose intolerance, I think, maybe. Like I don't feel sick or anything drinking milk or eating like ice cream and all of that. Consuming dairy products, I guess, is the best apt way of saying that. I think I just I just get hiccups a lot more often if I eat anything containing milk. And I think it's only ever when I'm... like, after I drink coffee or, like, eat a bowl of ice cream or something. Dude, the human body is weird. Don't mind me just stalling some more so I could fix something on my other monitor. Alright. We're good? I'm good. Let's go. Downtime over. That's already been way too long. Extra like 5 minutes talking. That's whatever. I wish just... Alright, never mind. I was gonna go off topic again and yap for like another 5 minutes. Let's continue. I was already like not feeling too well. Let's not stall things until I feel even worse. And cancel way earlier than normal. Let's get through another chapter. Alright, so we're at the... yeah, and she's about to read Game Master's this chapter's title. And we're back here in like the little witch room. At one time, only Beto and her fellow witches had gathered in the smoking room to chat. What? They smoke in here? However, however, an unusually large number of people were present. Pumpkin.
バトラは一体どういうゲームを見せてくれるのかしらね。
それが退屈を忘れさせ壊しがいあるものなら何でも歓迎よ。
Who says you're gonna crush it?
お任せください我が主。必ずや主の望まれる結果となるよう最善を尽くします。
Mm-hmm.
そうしてね。
I wanna see you so frustrated and mad again.
前回のゲームではおかしな表情ばかり見せちゃったから頬が歪んで変なシワにならないか不安だわ。
Oh, she's getting mad.
そんなことはありません。どんなおしわができようとも我が主の美貌は完璧です。
I don't think she wants to hear that. Holy, she's pissed.
ベルンがこんなにも楽しそうなんてね。
That's high spirits, dude.
本当にベアとのゲーム版は素晴らしいわ。そのゲーム
Oh,
版
hey,
の
Delanore's
主
here.
はもはや不在なのは悲しいことです。トラは死んで川を残す。ベアとも死んでゲームを残したわ。
チェスは残ってもその作者の名は残ってないわね。
あ、本当だ。
Is that right? No one knows who the inventor of chess is? Inventor... That's freaking inventor of chess name. There's no known named inventor of chess, as evolved from an ancient Indian game called Chaturanga. While popular Indian legend attributes the creation to a wise man named Sisa ben Deir, or Sisa. Yo, like the persona? This story is likely apocryphal, and historical evidence point to a gradual development rather than a single inventor. Oh, we're learning. John Chess, of course. Oh, it's so obvious. I should have known. Even named after him.
ゲームの作者って不憫ね。それにして
I
も
love the soundboard.
バトルさんは随分待たせるじゃないですか。
Oh, actually, thinking about that. There's something I keep wanting to do, but then just never remember to do it. Hold on, I'm writing down a note in my freaking notepad here. Add more sound alerts. One of them that I for sure want to add is the witch laugh from Umineko. Okay, there we go. We gotta add it. I wonder if there's anything else. Maybe... I wonder... I want to add the red truth, like, sound effect. But I don't want it to just be like just a sound that you can pay points for. I want it to also work in line with, with needing to type some sort of message. Make it work with a chat redeem that makes you type out a message. Alright, something to work on later. I'm going off track again. I need to stop doing that. He's the game master, he can start whenever he wants. Battler's really keeping us waiting, huh?
第6のゲームの準備まだ終わらないんですか？
It's his first time, he's making sure it's perfect.
ガートルード、バトラ教の準備はいかがです？
He has wrote a single word, the, in big text. He doesn't know how to continue.
もうじきのことと知りたまえと奉る者なり。
待たせるってことはそれだけ自信作なんでしょうよ。前回我が主の前であれだけの恥をかかされたんです。
Yeah, and he's gonna do it again. And it'll be
是が非で
so
も打ち破
funny.
ってみせます。
And then you're gonna cheat and like lock him in a room.
特にあんた二度と無様を見せないでくださいよ。
奮起して望む者なりよ。
They still haven't told her that freaking Lambda Delta was the one that forbade stopping him there? Or was it Arkansas herself? One of them. Erica would never cheat. Openly, she would. Butler wrote the really big fancy red ink. Now he's tired. Probably won't even write anything else until tomorrow. Oh, Battler wrote the really big and fancy red ink. He needs to think of the rest of it. After that, he spent the rest of the time putting like fancy gold borders around each of the pages. In the previous game... I'm adding words! The previous game master, Lambda Delta, had confirmed that Battler understood everything about Beto's game. However, in order to prove it, Battler would have to run this game by himself and carry it through to completion. In other words, Samari, if Erica could crush this game of Battler's, she would, in effect, wipe away the dishonor of that last game. Though Erica was chomping at the bit to get started, it was taking Battler quite some time to show himself. How long? Howdy, Kuadorian. I didn't actually properly say hello to you there. Getting too into the story again. And a swarm of gold butterflies swelled out of nothing and formed a human shape. Yo, Battler can do that now? From the shape of that familiar dress, everyone immediately realized who it was. He's even wearing a dress! Alright, I guess it's not Battler, though. He's back! How?
おや、ベアトリーチェさんじゃないですか。てっきり前回死んで消えたとばかり。
消えたのはプレイヤーのベアトよ。こいつは駒でしょ、バトルの。
駒ではあってもご本人と変わりありません。
Beatrice gave an elegant courtesy as she appeared. Or curtsy? Elegant curtsy. Curtsy? What's a curtsy? Hold on, we're looking things up again. So what, like a little bow? It's... Bro, that's why I don't want to read anything ever. I'm just trying to expand my knowledge, bro. Leave me alone. He doesn't want me to learn. This humble entrance was so vastly different from her usual high-pitched laugh that it created a sense of tension as they waited for the start of the sixth game to be announced at last. Oh no. Battler revived her and completely rewrote her to be like all elegant and nice.
お父様はもうじきお越しになられます。
Excuse me? You're not Beatrice. Who are you? What is that voice? Have I heard that voice somewhere before, actually? It might be new. No learning and no reading of aloud. Do you think we're playing a visual novel? We're supposed to think? Aw. Right, I shouldn't think. It'll just reveal all the answers to me eventually anyway. It's a book. Butler wrote her like this. Subtitle says Beatrice. Pretty sure that's her. Don't see any problems. You know what? The game wouldn't lie to me. Or the story, rather. The end?
どうかもうしばらくのお時間をお許しください。
I really don't like that voice coming from her.
お父様、何それ？それが今回の趣向？
Not only had Beto started talking in an unusually polite manner, she also had to use the word father, probably referring to Battler. For an instant, everyone was stunned into silence, but they quickly realized that this was part of something bigger, and they grinned. Beto wasn't the type who could keep up this kind of act for long. It would probably fall apart in a few seconds, leaving her laughing and cackling rudely at everyone. Erica, who was itching for a fight, went for Beto almost at once.
まさかあの無能のバトラさんが
Still the same V8? Damn, good range.
あなたのゲームの真相に至るなんてね。お父様なればこそ深淵を理解されたのでしょう。さすがだと思います。しかしあんたもラッキーです。バトラがゲームマスターになれなかったら二度と復活できなかったんですよ。まったく悪運が強いと言いますか。悪運？まあいずれにせよ前回の借りはきっちり返させてもらいますので。
あんたというバトラの妄想幻想きっちり消し去って忘却の深淵に叩き落としてやりますから。
Man, she really hates Battler.
私もミスミスやられるわけには参りません。
What does this freaking translator know? Well, I, Watashi, also intend to hold my own. Freaking it reminds me of like when I used to watch fan subs of One Piece. It had things like that, like every fucking episode, dude. The funniest part was an episode where I think where they started introducing Nami, and there was like a whole wall of text put up before the episode started detailing why they used like freaking some Japanese word for like the little orange things instead of like tangerine like other translations use or whatever. Funniest shit I've ever seen. She's using different first-person pronouns. Wonder what it means. Probably nothing. Probably nothing. Do you know what Kakaku means? Of course, I know what Kakaku means. But how about you tell me, so I just to make sure you know.
そのお手柔らかによろしくお願いいたします。
Like, what the fuck's going on? He's not getting angry. Fight me. By this point, everyone realized that something weird was going on. There was no doubt that the face, the dress, and the hair were all Beatrice's. However, her expression was different. Even though she had Beto's face, Beto would never show anyone an expression like that.
誰よ、あんた。
I've never seen this face on her. There was a heavy silence. Lambda Delta spoke for everyone there. At first, Beto wore a smiling yet confused expression. However, when she realized that the mood had gone suddenly stiff, the expression finally darkened, and she hung her head. Battler, it's not working! Told you it wouldn't work.
誰です？ベアトリーチェ教とお見受けしていますが、違うのですか？
Even Eleanor was forced to ask despite the rudeness of the question. That was how much this woman, who appeared to be Beto, was not.
皆さんの期待されるベアトリーチェとは違うでしょうか？あんた、何言ってんの？まさかとは思いますが、記憶喪失とかなんとか言い出すんじゃないでしょうね。
Amnesia?
私はまだ生まれたばかりですので、記憶は何もありません。
Valor just created a whole new Beatrice.
ですが、皆さんの期待されるベアトリーチェになれるよう、いろいろと勉強を。
ベアト、
Kinda cute. Oh.
部屋にいるように言ったはずだ。
Whoa. Valor's voice came out of nowhere. His tone was very slightly cold. Vito's expression looked like that of a young girl being scolded. He can do the butterfly thing! That's pretty sick. There it is. That's the outfit I wanted to see. He's looking sick, dude. I want an outfit like that. With a swirl of gold butterflies, Battler appeared. His dignified bearing... His dignified bearing and appearance... So, it sounds weird to say it like that. Were fitting for the ruler of this game. However, his expression was gloomy. And his gaze was directed at
部
Beto.
屋に戻れ。ここはお前のいる場所でない。
私は少しでもお父様のお役に立ちたくて。
部屋へ戻れ。
He spoke both softly and forcefully. Valor didn't leave her any room for debate. Beto hung her head and curtsied as she prepared to leave the room. Another bow?
それから、
はい、お父様。
俺の名はバトラーだ。二度と他の呼び方をするな。
はい。
Away she goes. Beto melted in his swarm of butterflies and disappeared. This was the first part of the tale with Battler as the game master. The witches had all expected him to come forward with some flashy big developments, so they were fairly confused. Their mouths were still hanging open.
変わった趣向ね。
失礼した。今のは忘れてほしい。
うまいこと言った。それも作戦のうちですか？また北風対応作戦みたいに印象操作して何かを煙に巻こうって魂胆でしょう。何かあったのですか？
気にするな。お前たちには関係のないことだ。
そう、なら関係ないってことだわ。さあ、バトラー。
Something to immediately forget.
新しいゲームを
Gotcha.
始めてちょうだい。もう待たされすぎちゃって退屈してたんだから。
ああ、第6のゲームを始めよう。エリカ、そしてベルンカステロ。これが俺の物語であり、俺がベアとの真相に至ったことの証明だ。ラムダデルタ、それを仙台ゲームマスターとして見届けてくれ。
楽しみにしてる
So
わ。
polite,
書
formal.
いたのは？
ドン、黄金の魔女の夜明けだ。
すぐに沈む冬の太陽だけれどね。もちろんです、我が主。すぐに引きずり下ろしてご覧に入れます。タイトルだけはグッドです。そこだけは褒めましょう、バトル。
She loves the title.
気に入ってもらえてよかった。では始めよう。これより第6のゲームを開始する。
Battler solemnly announced the start of the game. Compared to his fired up attitude at the end of the last game, where he and Erica had sworn to settle everything next time, he's extremely quiet now. Hmm.
エンジェ、
Look back.
ベアとの様子があまりにこれまでと違うな。私も驚いてるわ。何が何だかさっぱりよ。それ以前に、なんでベアトが蘇ってるのかさっぱりだわ。さっき読ませてもらったけど、前回の物語の最後で、お兄ちゃんが真相にたどり着く直前に。
Just finish. When did you have time to read the last game?
死んで消え去ったんじゃなかったの？この世界での死は2つある。一つは
駒としてゲーム版より取り除かれること。これはゲームにおける死でしかなく、仕切り直せば何度でも蘇る命だ。
だから魔女たちはその命を奪うことにあまりに無慈悲なわけよね。
To the Witch players, the lives of those characters who appear in the game board are no different from pieces on a chessboard that take other pieces and get taken. After all, these pieces will be set up again when the next game starts.
マリアにおける作太郎がその駒の最たるものであっただろう。
作太郎がお姉ちゃんの駒？
Yes, that does make sense. On a game board that represents the inside of Oni-chan's head, Sakataro certainly does exist, and is a piece which always stays by her side. Though, he's nothing more than a stuffed animal in the real world. On Oni-chan's game board, he is a full piece, no different from any other piece.
でもどうかしら。魔女のゲームの駒なら簡単に生き返らせることができるんでしょう。でもお姉ちゃんの世界では作太郎は蘇ることができなかった。
世界でたった一つのぬいぐるみというよりしろが失われたからだ。だから駒の存在条件が崩れ、マリアのゲーム版では復活することができなかった。
But he's not unique,
そ
apparently.
なたがその存在条件を再び満たしてやったからこそ、作太郎はゲーム版に蘇ることができたのではないか。
確かに。
Maria Onachan was only unable to revive him because she had lost the stuffed animal that was his vessel. If, like my family on Beto's game board, she hadn't needed a vessel for him, she would have been able to revive him as often as she wanted.
そうね。確かに作太郎はお姉ちゃんの駒かもしれないわ。少なくともよりしろが無事である限り何度でも蘇れる存在だわ。
そう、よりしろが無事である限り何度でも蘇ることができる。それが駒の命というものだ。
それがこの世界での死における一つ目。もう一つは
ゲーム版の外の存在の死だ。作太郎の話で続けるなら、この場合はマリアの死だ。
駒じゃなく本当のお姉ちゃんの死ね。
死だけではない。興味や関心の喪失でも同じだ。マリアがぬいぐるみ遊びを卒業すれば、ゲームのプレイヤーとしてのマリアは死ぬ。さながらテレビに飽きてスイッチを切るかのように簡単にあっさりと。
なるほど。つまりプレイヤーとしてのベアとは前回までのゲームで勝利を完全に諦めたので死んで消え去ったわけね。ならつまりベアトが再びお兄ちゃんに勝てるつもりになって戻ってきたら生き返るってことだわ。
理屈ではそうだ。人も魔女も神さえも興味と関心を失えばいつでも死ねる。そしてそれを取り戻せばいつでも蘇れる。
How do you gain the interest of dead?
しかし神の世界には時間の概念がないからいつ蘇るも自在だが、矢のごとく時が過ぎ去る人の世ではそれは容易ではないな。
そうね。一日のずる休みならともかく3日もサボると学校に行くのがものすごく億劫になるわ。
それが1ヶ月、1年、10年、それこそ魔女の世界のように1000年にも及んだら。
なるほど。ずる休みもそれだけになればもはや社会における死ね。それだけの長い間死んでいたら社会的な遅れを取り戻せないだけじゃなく当時のモチベーションだって絶対に蘇らないわ。それはつまり命があっても一度死んだのと同じことだわ。二度と元の自分には戻れない。蘇れない。
ベアとは勝てる道理も希望もすべてそれを知りつつ気づかぬふりをし、あれだけのゲームを戦ってきたのだ。だからもうベアとは戻らない。彼女の希望はついえた。気を取り直して再び戦う気力のすべてを もう費やしている。だからあのベアトリーチが蘇ることは
Oh,
二度とない。
speaking with Red. That Beatrice will never revive again. The cruel, unrelenting one. Or this one. That Beto, who just sat around the whole time with empty eyes in the 5th game, must have been her corpse. She managed to remain on the game board despite it all. But then, even that corpse was wiped away. If Beto had been the game master at that time instead of Lambda Delta, the game board itself would have vanished at that moment, and everything would have ended. Come to think of it, Beto started to lose the will to fight back near the end of the 4th game. When Beto loses her will to fight, the world of this game disappears. However, the witches wanted to keep playing in the game board world. So, Lambda Delta bound Beto in place with the curse of that shackle. He used that shackle to make sure that the game board wouldn't disappear. Even if Beto did lose the will to fight. In chess, this would be the equivalent of removing the set time limit for each turn, making it endless. However, simply having the game endlessly paused on Beto's turn would have caused the witches to die from their illness of boredom. That's why Lambda Delta took the position of Game Master. Starting then, Beto's existence was no longer one of the conditions necessary for the game to exist. That's probably why the shackles binding her to the game board were released. And that explains why she disappeared in the 5th game. But why is she back?
お兄ちゃんはベアトに真相にたどり着いたことを教えるには一つゲームが遅かったということね。
第5のゲームなどラムダデルタの慈悲だ。バトラの絶対に真相にたどり着きたいという信念に絶対の魔女が慈悲を示しただけのこと。
何が慈悲よ。ただの魔女たちの暇つぶしの気まぐれじゃない。話を戻すわ。じゃあ、あのおかしなベアトはプレイヤーのベアトじゃないってことになる。コマのベアトということだわ。
Lambda's so kind, so nice.
そうだ。だったら誰もがよく知るベアトになるはず。バトラもそういうベアトを望んだはず。
ぬいぐるみじゃ嫌だったってこと。
When playing with dolls, one can project the personality they desire, or they most desire onto the doll. However, since you are acting out their part, nothing unexpected can ever happen. You cannot hope for any unanticipated happiness. In the human world, there is nothing so boring as predictability. That's why, though a doll can become a person's best friend in the world, people eventually get bored and outgrow them. Oni-chan only wants the real Beto. He couldn't bear having a doll that he could only make act like Beto.
バトラの駒として生み出されたベアとはバトラの望む通りに動くだろう。
駒なんだから当然だわ。プレイヤーの指す通りに動く。そしてそれ以外では一切動かない。
But I guess he doesn't want that.
お兄ちゃんが何を望んでるのかはわかるわ。じゃあこのおかしなベアトは何者なの？
バトラはベアトを本当の意味で蘇らそうとしているのかもしれない。人の子らの諦めきれぬ夢だ。
あんたはさっき赤を使ってそれはないと否定したわ。
あのベアトが蘇ることは決してない。しかしもう一度ベアトを生み出すことは不可能ではないということだ。忘れたか？第一のゲームの最後でベルンカステル自らがベアトの正体を語ったはず。
Did she? End of the game. Maria faced against the wall. Tatsui went out the hallway after she got a letter. Faced whoever the real Beto was. Died. Kids ran up to where they heard the gunshot. Maria went and clutched the real Beto while Battler took up the gun and aimed it at her and didn't end. What happened in the tea parties after that? Everyone was being like... First tea party, everyone was all like happy and stuff, and then Battler was weirded out, and then he started questioning, they all started dying again. And Beto actually came out herself, started taunting him. Solve all these mysteries, idiot. And then they had to like full music credits. What happened in the tea party? I don't remember everything that happened in the second tea party. Princess Beto is a personification of the game's rules. I think I remember that much, but not like exact specifics. You remember? Okay, remember for me? Alright, cool, thanks.
そのルールと情報が練り上げられ、最終的にあのベアトリーチェという魔女が形作られたのだ。それを再びなぞれば、同じベアトリーチェをもう一度生み出し、それをもって復活と呼ぶこともできよう。
I mean, just like Kinzo reviving Beatrice.
つまりあのおかしなベアとはさながらベアトの卵あるいはヒナってところね。
そう解釈するのが妥当であろう。すなわちこのベアトこそがあのベアトへ至るヒナなのだ。
Might.
それはつまりこの純情可憐な子がやがてはあのひねくれてイカれた魔女に成長するってことね。
Yeah, and Battler wants that. He loves it. Beatrice reverted to an egg. In other words, Samari, that Beto is a baby version of the Beto we all know. So, just like how no person is born evil, the newborn Beto isn't evil either. Even though she really is a different person, if you measure her by her basis, her soul, then maybe you really could call this a resurrection. However, this reality can't possibly be easy to accept. Though she may technically be Beto herself, she is also, without a doubt, a different person. And that way she acts would make anyone feel as though something's out of place.
退屈しない。
I wonder if this ties into like to what Kinzo was apparently doing with Beto and Kumadorian. Like Beto died, he tried to graze a new kid in the exact same way as the first one to be that like Beatrice. But it's just wasn't the same. Because how could it?
そなたの朗読は楽しい。
あんたに朗読が必要なのか疑わしいわ。あんたはもうすでに全てを知っているように見える。
そなたと対話をしているからその思考に至るだけだ。我が思考は八百万を束ねて超える。
Always thinking.
人の子にはまるでそう見えるだけに過ぎぬ。されどそなたがいなければ思考する力さえないか弱き病人に過ぎぬ。
最初からそういえばもっと素直に朗読を引き受けてやったのに。
私の機嫌が良くなっただけのこと。浮かれるな。 私はお前の命などしおり代わりに挟んだまま放出する木の葉よりも軽んじているぞ。
続きを読んでください。おで解釈するわ。
Oop.
オッケー。
Okay.
退屈しない。そなたは巫女として優秀だ。
Featherine rolled back in her rocking chair and looked up at the ceiling, old, laughing as though the conversation itself was pleasant for her, and she was slowly figuring out how to deal with this strange witch. This person was also bored. When a sick person has been left in bed for a long time and gets too bored, they sometimes act in a rebellious way. On the other hand, they also get a little bored of being treated kindly all the time. She may want to be respected for her superiority, but it's probably more interesting for her when she's spoken to a little rudely. What a coincidence. That's exactly how I used to be. A perfect match.
とにかく第4のゲームでベアトとお兄ちゃんに何か確執があったことは間違いないの。このベアトを知ることは真相に至る鍵の一つになりうるわ。
そうであろう。私も興味を持った。彼女の物語も合わせて読むのだ。
はいはい。仰せのままに輪があるし。
And she raised her hands like a conductor. And the bookshelves in this bizarre study responded. Once again, several books floated out and began to swirl around Angie. Damn, you can do that? Full control over magic? Oh, Kinzo's study. With a phone ringing. Just barely in the background. Kinzo's study in the room is the room belonging to the master in the human world. So this study is the world of non... Oh, real tough time reading today. How many mistakes is that now? Like, we're in the high 20s probably. So, this study in the world of non-humans belonged to the master of the game board, and was a place where he could look down upon the humans. Therefore, it was understandable that this one might mistake the... Therefore, it was understandable that one might mistake the imposing robe-clad man in the center of the study for Kinzo. If only for a second. It wasn't Kinzo. It was Battler, the one who had taken up the position of a game master, and who had become the new territorial lord of this world. Looks so cool. Oh, actually, hold on. We gotta see if this says anything new. The Endless Sorcerer and Final Game Master. Spoilers? And the Game Master doesn't change in the next 2 episodes? He is the ruler of the game board and the territory lord. To prove that he has won Beto's game, he must take on the position of Game Master. By succeeding this, his victory will be acknowledged and Beto's game will reach its end. Because he knows the whole truth, he exists on a higher plane than all the others. Okay, I guess because he's a sorcerer now, his name is in like all capital letters. His name is also spelled differently. So maybe that's like a thing that's easier to understand in Japanese. In English, we get all capital letters, and then in Japanese, it's probably like a different spelling. Yeah, just rewrite the story where she is. Easy. Become the new, like, witch. Ow, hitting me, dude? Why? Why mean? Round Battler was a swirl of glowing fragments sparkling like the night sky. On the floor was what appeared to be a red magic circle. To an outsider, it would have appeared to be nothing more than an incomprehensible geometric shape. But to Battler, who stood at its center, it was the outline for a new tale. A new line grew across the magic circle following Battler's gaze. Then, at the instant it connected with the completed symbol, the entire magic circle flashed brightly. I know why. Alright guys, time them out for 10 seconds.
これでどうだ。
見事です、親方さん。
Genji's here!
第6のゲームの完成でございます。
As Battler wiped his forehead and finally relaxed, Genji, who was standing behind him and watching over his every move, nodded deeply in response.
俺はゲームマスターってのはもっと好き勝手に物語を作っているものとばかり思っていたが、想像以上に骨が折れるな、これは。
The day of retconning will come soon. Day of reckoning? What do you mean? I reckon nothing.
複数の物語を描き、その表裏を合わせねばなりません。それにしても初めてとは思えない見事なお手並みでした。エリカ様もきっとこのゲームならご満足いただけるでしょう。
What? Who would want to satisfy her? Get her out of
あ
here.
の
I
探
hate
偵
her.
殿の好みに合うといいんだがな。しかしベアトを純粋に尊敬するぜ。よくあんなややこしい物語をあっさりと作ってみせたもんだ。
あっさりとではありません。ベアトリーチェ様も深く悩み、物語を生み出しては矛盾に悩み、常にロジックエラーと戦われておりました。
ロジックエラー？
物語の表裏が合わぬこと、矛盾することでございます。これが生じるとロジックエラーと呼ばれる致命的な反則手となり、即座にゲーム版は破綻崩壊いたします。魔女側が犯せる最大最悪のミスです。
ベアトのゲームも何度かそれに抵触しそうになったのか？
ゲームを生み出す際には常にそれと戦われておりました。特にバトラ様が手強くなられてからは相当の苦労をなさっていたようです。
今回の俺のこのゲームはベアトに見せても恥ずかしくない敵かな。
はい、
I'm sure she would love it.
それはもちろんでございます。
ベアトまだ目を覚まさないのか？ルールの擬人化から体を蘇生してもうだいぶになるはずだ。まだ目覚めないのか？
After remaining silent for a while longer, Genji answered. Right here.
3日ほど前にお目覚めになっております。
Took you over 3 days to make the story?
バトラ様が第6のゲームの設計に集中されておりましたので、お知らせを控えておりました。申し訳ございません。
そうだったか。あいつめだいぶ長いこと寝てたから寝ぼけてやがったに違いない。あいつにぜひ俺のゲームを見てもらいたかったんだ。いや、あいつに俺はゲームを見せなきゃならないんだ。俺が全てを理解したことをあいつに教えなきゃならない。
Eller's face broke into a smile. There was no trace in its expression of the hatred he once felt towards Beto for murdering his family.
ある意味これが第5のゲーム最後の謎だったわ。
そうだ、バトラは真相に至ると同時にベアトに対する心象が大きく変わった。
Loves her.
それはつまり
Although I
やはりお
kind
兄
of
ちゃ
feel
ん
like
とベ
he's
アトに
always
何かの関係があ
loved
って
her.
それを彼が防出していたと考えるのが適当なの？
However, Battler suspected this in the 4th game and asked Beto about it. And within the story, this was denied by the Red Truth. 6 years ago, no person called Beatrice existed for Battler.
6年前にベアトが存在しなかったとも受け取れるし、6年前にはバトラと縁がなかったとも受け取れる。しかしいずれにせよ、バトラはその後6年間、六軒島には訪れない。
Well, back to this mystery.
ベアトリーチェとお兄ちゃんはこの1986年10月4日が初対面のはず。なのにどうしてすでに確執があるの？さっぱり意味がわからないわ。
第4のゲームでベアトがバトラに問いかけた。
Ushiromiya Battler's sin.
後宮バトラの罪に何かの鍵があろうな。その結果がベアトリーチェという存在なのかもしれない。
その結果？お兄ちゃんの罪の結果がベアト？
That almost sounds as though Oni-chan created the witch called Beatrice himself.
まるでベアトリーチェとはバトラの駒のようだな。6年前のバトラの罪、その罪で人が死ぬ。殺すのはベアトリーチェ。すべてが6年前のバトラの罪から連綿と続くと考えるなら、ベアトリーチェを生み出したのはバトラ自身。まるでバトラの駒のようだと思った。
意味わかんないわ。お兄ちゃんが何かの罪を犯したとしても、少なくとも殺人なんかよりよっぽど軽い何かだわ。それに対する仕返しがこの大量殺人なのだとしたら、あまりにお兄ちゃんの罪と割が合わない。ベアトは親族たちを皆殺しにした。お父さんもお母さんもお兄ちゃんもみんなそれに見合う罪がお兄ちゃんにあったなんて信じられるわけがない。
罪は測る人間によって重さが異なる。バトラにとって防出できる程度の罪でも、ベアトにとっては6年を経てなお一族を皆殺しにするほどの恨みを持つに値するものだったのかもしれない。まあ私もそれはあまりに釣り合わぬと思うし、そして真相を知ったとはいえ、バトラがあれだけ親身になるとは到底思えぬ。
Catherine's observation was extremely interesting. In a past game, Beito said it clearly that Oni-chan's sin 6 years before was the cause of this 2-day tragedy. Still don't know what kind of sin that was. However, he figured it out at the end of the 5th game, and he even apologized to Beito. Even though she was the witch who had massacred his entire family in retaliation for his sin of 6 years before, Battler apologized to her. Of course, it was the player Battler who apologized, not the peace Battler whose family had been murdered over and over again. But even so, Battler must have remembered something at the end of the last game that made him feel like apologizing.
その6年前の罪、これまでの物語のどこかにそれが隠されていたとでも言うのかしら。
私はすでにある仮説を立てている。
Oh?
聞かせてよ。
まだ話せぬ。もうしばらく私だけ答えを知っているかのような優越を楽しむことにする。
So stingy.
続き読まないわよ。
それは困る。しばし耐え、もう少し続きを読め。私の仮説もまだ想像の域を出ぬ。確信を持てたらその時話すこととしよう。
はいはい、我があるし、私だって続きを知りたいわ。
Battler's sin. What clues to it could have been hidden already? Something that created this whole mess. Something that would make him not hate Beto, but want to apologize afterward. Even after all that's happened. I'm trying to think of what it might be. Trying to think of any possible clues by running like through the major points of each episode in my head here, but I can't really come up with anything. Alright, let's continue. Oni-chan and Beatrice. Just what kind of connection is there between them? Learning that will probably be the ultimate key to the truth of this world. After all, remembering that was what enabled him to reach the truth. Oh,
Beatrice!
I'm going over to meet her.
親方様、ようこそお越しを。ベアトリーチェ様がお待ちでございます。どうぞこちらへ。
This place was a villa set aside for Beatrice's use. It was a sacred site, for her only, built so that she could spend her days without being affected by the outside world. My heart began to race. I'm so glad that she was able to revive. And that everything's okay. Beito is a personification of the rules. So even though she was destroyed once, it is possible for her to be reborn again. Battler had quickly succeeded in reviving Beito's body, but he had trouble summoning her soul back. English is a great language. However, during that time, he had spent immersed in the creation of the sixth game. She had woken up. And this had happened 3 days ago. Battlers let himself be led into the dining hall. The dining hall had been set up for his and Beito's use. It existed so that they could enjoy some black tea while discussing the truth now that he had finally reached it in its entirety. I want to tell her. I want to tell Beito that I found the truth. Battler couldn't hold back Battler couldn't hold back his excitement over the miracle that had been granted. That Beito was waiting for him in the dining hall to hear what he had to say. I counted like 8 uses of the word had in the entire freaking thing there. It's a common word, but after the double use of it, it got me counting the rest of them. Take her up so fast. Must be all the small bombs in the food.
変わりないか。元気そうか。
ええ、それはもうお元気でいらっしゃいます。親方様がおいでになるのをずっとお待ちでいらっしゃいましたとも。
Lord Battler? Lord Ushiromiya?
食堂にいるのか？飯でも食ってるのか？ああ、いいさ。何でも構わない。
驚きますよ。
ベアトリーチェ!
Fancy room? When he swung open the doors to the dining hall. Actually, this is where Virgilia was with the bunnies when they were thinking about what to do about the freaking guys escaping from the Kumodorian basement. Just all purple now. When he swung open the doors to the dining hall, Battler was greeted by a wonderful sight. Though the food laid out on the table wasn't particularly sensational, it was all mackerel actually. It was arranged beautifully, and a champagne bottle stood there waiting. Then, the person clad in that familiar dress with the beautiful golden hair bowed deeply in greeting.
ベアトリーチェ。
私に姿を与えてくださり誠にありがとうございます。
We got a new character thing. She's too happy looking. A new witch reborn from the rules. She has not lived 1,000 years, and her behavior is vastly different from how it once was. She's a witch who does not even know how to use magic. However, she has no fear of magic circles or spider webs. It is almost as though she is just a human. She adores Battler and considers it her purpose to devote herself to him. You know what? She's reminding me of the Beatrice that the young Rosa met back in, I guess, what was it, episode 2? Yeah, that's when we first saw Virgilia and all that. Remind me a lot of that, actually. She's like in a... It looks like she's in a... Tuadorian. Kumasawa's here, which is interesting. Battler is considered like the new game master. That's like the big like cloak thing that Kinzo has. That one is usually called Kodorian Beatrice. Simple enough name. I want to look at something. Okay, so the cloak thing that Battler has is different from the one that Kinzo wears. It's like just a cape, basically. So happy.
いいんだ。そんなのはよかった。ベアト。
Ella rushed up to Beto and hugged her tightly. How cute! Just to make sure her body wasn't just mist or an illusion.
俺はお前の謎をちゃんと解いたぞ。なのにそれを伝える前に消えちまいやがって。
私はここにいます。消えたりなんかしません。
やめろよ、そんな喋り方。本を着せるつもりなんか全然ない。とにかくお前に謝りたい。そして語らいたい。
Then he's gonna find out that this isn't the Beatrice that he was expecting, that he knows. And that's why he's so, like, gloomy and whatnot at the start of the episode. I get it.
何から先に口にすればいいかさえわからない。
私がお父様に謝られることなど何もありません。私はただお父様のお役に立てれば。
ベアト。
ベアトリーチェはお父様のために生まれてきました。どうかあなたの力にならせてください。そしてお父様、第6のゲームの完成誠におめでとうございます。
だからそんな喋り方やめろって。うさんくさくてたまらねえぜ。
この喋り方ではお気に召しませんか？部長法をどうかお許しください。
お気に召しませんかってことはねえが、らしくねえぜ。やっぱお前はいつもの口調がぴったりだ。
Beto smiled vaguely. Battler probably looked as though they were both smiling over the same joke. However, Beto's smile was literally vague and uncertain. After all, she didn't know how she was supposed to talk.
それよりベアト、一体これは何の冗談だってんだ？まさか大ベアトリーチェ様自らが手料理を作ったってのか？
第6のゲームが完成されましたと聞き、ささやかですがねぎらいの席が設けられないかと思いまして。
No memories was able to cook?
ベアトリーチェ様がそれはもう大層頑張られてお作りになられたんですよ。私は一切手伝っておりませんとも。
They would have added mackerel to it. The food set on the table was modest and inexpertly made. You could tell by looking at it that Beto, who wasn't particularly skilled with cooking, had given it her all when making it. Adorable. However, signs of discomfort and irritation were beginning to appear on Battler's face.
どういうことだ。
ええ、ですからベアトリーチェ様が親方様をねぎらおうと。
What was starting to show up on Kumasawa's forehead. He was also feeling uneasy. When he noticed, Battler realized that it wasn't just his imagination. Beto turned her back to Battler and stuck a corkscrew in the champagne bottle. Then she showed it to
お父
Battler.
様、第6のゲームの完成、誠におめでとうございます。必ずや宿敵フルドエリカに勝利することを祈願してこれを捧げます。
Ah. When presented with a champagne bottle and a sound like that, anyone would think that the cork had been pulled out. However, it wasn't the cork. It was the bottom of the bottle. The high-quality champagne that Beto had procured splashed out all over the floor and on her dress. Then, the same sound repeated several more times. Each time, one of the plates of food on the table was knocked into the air. What the hell's going on?
お父様、お気に召しませんでしたか？
お前は誰だ。
私はベアトリーチェでございます。お父様のために生まれてまいりました。
違う。こいつは誰だ。ベアトじゃない。そして俺をお父様なんて呼ぶな。
So losing
これ
it.
はどういうことだ。何なんだこれは。ベアトを蘇らせたんじゃなかったのか。源氏、これはどういうことだ。
恐れながら紛れもなくそのお方はベアトリーチェ様でございます。
The way this is going and the way Battler's acting really does remind me a lot of what I think like Kinzo might act like in this situation. Oh.
そんなはずあるか。これのどこがベアトなんだ。全然違う。偽物だ。
いいえ、ベアトリーチェ様でございます。ゲーム版のルールに従い生み出された紛れもなくベアトリーチェ様ご自身でございます。
Even having Genji and Kumasawa here instead of something like Brigilia and Renove is making me think of Kinzo more.
いや、こんなのはベアトじゃない。ベアトってのはもっとおかしな喋り方をして品のない笑いをして、それから
いいえ、間違いなくベアトリーチェ様ご自身でございます。
じゃあどうしてこんな喋り方をする。どうして俺をお父様なんて呼ぶんだ。
ベアトリーチェ様はお生まれになったばかりでございます。かつてのような振る舞いをいきなり期待されるのはあまりに酷というものでございます。
まだ記憶が戻らないということなのか。
親方様、確かにこの方はベアトリーチェ様ご自身です。しかし親方様がよくご存知のベアトリーチェ様ではありません。
どういう意味だ。俺はゲームマスターなんだろ。
Well, certainly Beatrice, but not the Beatrice he knows. I don't know, so that line made me think of how Battler is Ushirimiya Battler, but not the Ushirimiya Battler born from Asumu. But am I wrong in thinking there's two Battlers? Because I was kind of thinking that from that point of the story. But I guess that doesn't mean that there's two battlers, just that the battler we know isn't the son of Asumu. And who is the mother? Hmm.
どうしてベアトを蘇らせられないんだ。
ええ、確かに蘇りましたとも。
There is two battlers, Player Battler and Pete. Yet, okay, dude. You know what I mean. You... Oh, it's gonna be very mean to you.
しかし、かつてのベアトリーチェ様は1000年を経られたベアトリーチェ様。一方、こちらのベアトリーチェ様はご本人なれど生まれたばかり。違う人間のように見えるのは致し方ないことでございます。
じゃあどうやったらあのベアトは蘇るんだ。体はある、ここに。魂はどうやれば蘇る。
同じ1000年の人生を歩めば、かつてと同じベアトリーチェ様にもなるでしょう。
1000年を待てと。
人の性格は生まれながらだけのものではありません。その後の生き方や経験によっていかようにも変わります。
Hmm.
意味がわかりますか？
What? You change forms?
同じベアトであっても同じでないということが。
So she is the same, she is not the same.
わかるわ。同じ人間が2人いたとしても生い立ちで人はいくらでも変わる。本来は同じ人間であるにもかかわらず、その生い立ちによって別人と言ってもいいほどに変わり得る。本来人は人であり、人格そのものを指して人とは呼びません。しかし人格を人だと認める人間たちにとってそれはさながら他人のようなものでしょう。
違いねえですな。
Oh, hey, you're back.
お嬢だって12年前の気の毒な一件がなけりゃ今頃は笑顔が似合うキュートな女の子だったかもしれない。
失礼ね。今だって十分キュートだったわ。
Yes, I understand. If a personality is what makes a person in our eyes, you could say that a second personality is a different person entirely, even if it inhabits the same flesh body. God damn, you got enough like clocks and freaking lanterns, dude? At the very least, I'm a completely different person than I used to be 12 years ago. And if my family had come home 12 years ago, then the Angie that would have resulted would surely be a completely different person from me. Even the same human can become different people. In fact, depending on their upbringing and endless possibilities, they can become an endless number of different people. Was there a reality where I did not become cringe VTuber? Maybe that was always destined to happen. At least always meant to be cringe, probably. So, just because this is the same Beito, there's no guarantee at all that she'll be the Beito that Oni-chan knows so well.
ましてや、ベアトリーチェは1000年を経た魔女。人は3日あれば死ぬことだって生まれ変わることだってできる。それが1000年じゃどうにもならないわね。あなたはなかなかできる読者のようですね。並の読者相手だったら同一の人間であってもその生い立ちと時間によって別人になりうることを説明するために数百ページを割かねばならぬというのに。
Several hundred pages just to explain that?
あまり読者をなめないで。私たちはただ読んでるだけじゃない。読んで考えてるの。100人に読ませれば90人くらいは読める。しかし意味がわかるのは50人。そしてそこからさらに考えられるのは20人もいない。よく噛んで飲み込みなさいと。
ただそれだけの話なのに。しかしあなたはどうやらその貴重な20人の中の一人らしい。だからここへ招いたのです。人の子よ。
It was hard to actually like this Hachijo Toya person. However, though this forgery she had written was still in its first stages, it definitely felt as though it had something very similar to the tales in those message bottles. Speaking metaphorically, one might call it a scent, an indescribable stern atmosphere, like a stuffy library. The Beatrice who wrote the message bottles and Hachijo Toya are different people, and yet this has the same scent as that tale. I see. This is why some of those curious witch hunters are so intensely devoted to her. Their keen sense of smell was able to sniff out that familiar scent.
さ、どうぞ。続きを読んで、文字を追うあなたの顔を見るのが何よりも楽しいの。そして言葉を交わし合うことも。
物書きは感想に飢えてるってのは本当ね。でも申し訳ないけど、こんな分厚い原稿を延々と読んでる時間はないの。
Feels like you have infinite
それ
time.
より、私はあなたに。
時間なんていくらでもあるでしょうに。
Yeah, just look at all the clocks. There's so much time. Wow, all of them are like reading different times. That one's like a little past 10. This one's like, I don't know, a little past like 2. That one's like reaching up on like 8. That one doesn't even have hands. Oh, there's one up here. I can't tell which one is the smaller one. That one? So what, a little past 6? How many people do you think exist that can't read analog clocks anymore? Probably a lot more than, than I would like. Oh no. Both the second hand and the pendulum on the ornate clock behind Hachijo have been moving the whole time. However, absolutely no time had passed for a while now. Only about 3 minutes had gone by since the time she had entered the room.
ね、時間など気にすることもないでしょう。あなたが読み終わるまで、すべての時間はあなたを追い立てない。
ああ、じゃあ次のページ次のページ。
He's interested in the story, he likes it. Amakusa badgered me to turn the page, so I returned to the world of the tale once more. Why does her tale have the same scent as Beatrice's, I wonder? Is it because she actually has reached the truth as she claims? I believe it. Does this mean that anyone who knows the truth could create an endless number of message bottles? Is that what the cat in the box world is like? I read that wrong. I think I added in the... See that? Is that what the cat box world is like? I see. Maybe she really is an endless witch herself. In fact, maybe anyone who knows the truth can become an endless witch. An endless tale created by endless witches. The 2 days starting on October 4th, 1986, where my family's being toyed with endlessly. I have to end it. I have to find a hint of truth from within this story, and end this endless tale.
Howだ, Beato? 俺の作った第6のゲームは
Once the sports user, she's probably gonna say she likes it.
まあ、素直に褒めるやつじゃないもんな。せいぜい、無能なりにそこそこ頑張ったではないか。ってとこだろうぜ。
無能なりにそこそこ頑張ったではないか。
ゲームマスターの立場になってよくわかったぜ。お前も毎回 随分と苦労してやがったんだってな。ゲームを作るのは楽なことではない。よもやそなたとそれをねぎらい合う日が来ようとはな。
ゲームを作るのは楽なことではない。よもやそなたとそれをねぎらい合う日が来ようとはな。
Oh man, just trying to force her to be the Beatrice he knew.
違う。こんなのはベアトじゃない。
Battler slammed hard on the desk, but the piece Beto showed no reaction. After all, Battler hadn't ordered her to react. It was easy to revive that Beto as a piece. However, it would only move according to Battler's wishes. Having a conversation with it was no different from talking to himself. The Game Master could summon any kind of piece. He could move those pieces in any way he wanted, reigning as an absolute god. However, for that very reason, they were just pieces. That made it unbelievably lonely and sad.
お前はたくさんの家具たちやいろいろな物語を紡ぎ出してきた。俺はそれを見て、お前はきっとさぞや楽しいだろうなと思っていた。
だが違う。
お前は信じられないくらいに孤独だったんだ。
お前にとって俺という自らに反逆する対戦相手がどれほど愉快なものか、今の俺には痛いほど理解できる。
あの礼儀正しいおかしなベアとは確かにお前なんだろうな。1000年前の。しかし別人だ。お前の姿に瓜二つだからこそむしろ許せない。辛い。
He hates it.
コマではないから俺の意志に背ける。
コマのお前なんかよりあのベアトの方がはるかに血は通ってるだろうぜ。それは認める。だが違うんだ。あれはお前じゃない。お前の生き別れの妹か何かで全くの別人なんだ。だからむしろどうしても受け入れられない。
As much as he hated this piece, Beto, Battler felt an even stronger dislike for the chick, Beto. Even after a whole 1,000 years, she still wouldn't become the original Beto. Even if she were ordered to act like the original Beto, it would just be an imitation. This was a very similar but separate person, and definitely not Beto herself. Then, in the previous game, Beto really did disappear for all eternity. Even after becoming the Game Master, there was no way to revive her.
笑えよ、この無様な俺を。
All kinds of sad, dude. Just give it a rest already. You're just an illusion who won't laugh unless I order it. And who can't even continue to laugh unless I keep on ordering it. Just disappear. Oof. Angry. True feelings. Oh man. It's only been 3 hours, but do I want to call it here and then continue on longer next time? Heck? Did I do that to myself? Long red mark on one of my hands? Is that from scratching my hand? I'm like... I don't know, because I want to continue, but I'm also like having trouble reading and all that. I still feel just about as rough as I said I did whenever I took the break like an hour ago. I also feel like I'm tripping over words much more often today than I usually do. So maybe I do call it here. Only a couple, like, chapters in. I think so, as, like, kind of sad as it is. I think I need, like, more rest or something. And I guess depending on how I feel tomorrow, might end up just continuing again on Sunday instead of Saturday. And yeah, it's probably it's probably for the best. I don't want to stop this early on, but things are looking rough. We're just gonna call it here. Interesting beginning that we're getting here. Let's see. Yeah. I'm getting. I want to talk about the story for a bit. The way Battler's acting in his whole ordeal is, like, again, as I said, reminding me of how I think Kinzo might, like, act and whatnot in the same position. I do remember a red text from Nove saying that the conversation Kinzo had with Beatrice was, like, something that actually did happen. Like, Kinzo's trying to accept that Beatrice, but can't fully, similar to what's happening with Battler now. I wonder. And then there's Battler's Sin. What is that? Should be enough hints throughout the entire story to get a theory going. Yeah? But I can't think of what it might be. Sure? I don't know. Maybe it's... Question mark gave you everything. Yeah, sure. Okay. Let's reread all of the question arcs then. That'll help me solve everything. But I also don't want to. Well, anyway, I'm getting nowhere here. I'm already feeling rough, and any more thinking is probably just gonna hurt me even more. We're gonna end here. Might end up just being back Sunday. We'll see how well I'm able to rest up again and get myself all sorted. As always, anyone around to watch me, Lex Love, shut up. Anyone around to watch me, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Next time, probably Sunday, most likely. Yeah, see ya. Hopefully longer than 3 hours. We're gonna aim for, like, at the very least 6. Let's try to get through 3 chapters. Maybe 4. Who knows? See ya.